Alright, CNT125, Chapter 8. Let's look at subnetting a Class A network. We're going to apply all the principles we learned in Class C and Class B to just dealing with 3 octets this time. Really, it's the same process. We just have 3 octets to keep track of. Remember, network number, all zeros in the host portion. We can't use that. We're going to get that in its own column. Broadcast address, all ones in the host portion. Again, we can't use that. We're going to put its own column. We want the middle column of usable IP addresses. These are the ones we want so we can use them to apply to router ports, workstations, printers, IP phones, etc. So let's take a look. We have a Class A network. They need 50 subnets. So with 50 subnets, I'm going to need to borrow 6 bits. 5 is not going to be enough. 6 bits will give you 64 subnets. We will have extra, just like extra slices of pie or cake or pizza or whatever. That's okay. That's what we're going to end up with. With a Class A, here's our default subnet mask. Here's our default subnet mask in binary. If we're going to borrow 6 bits, 2 to the 6 is going to give us 64 subnets. Here's our 6 bits borrowed right there. We're going to be left with 18 bits. 18 bits. 2x to the y 18 to 262,144 addresses per subnet, of which 262,142 addresses per subnet are usable. I would need to update my subnet mask and CIDR notation to reflect that. Here I had 8 bits. I'm going to add 6 more. When I do, I'm left with /14. 14 bits to make up the subnet mask. I take this octet here, convert to decimal. I get 252. I get 252. There would be my subnet mask to use, or my CIDR notation of /14 to use with my devices and things in my network, or my network maps that I'm writing for that matter. Alrighty, so with a Class A, my work is mainly happening here in this 3rd octet, so that's what we're going to pay attention to. We've borrowed, here we borrowed 6 bits. We've borrowed out to the 4 place. We've borrowed to the 4 place. So that is my interesting bit. That is what my subnets are going to go up by. They're going up by a factor of 4. So as I start making my chart, that's going to help me make my subnets pretty quickly. So here on my subnet chart, 0, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, etc. And again, we're going to have, as we saw back here, 64 of them. I'm just writing the first, handful here. In real life, you would have a lot more that you need to do. We're just doing the first handful. All right, so if this subnet is 0, this one's 4, this one here has to end at 3, this one has to end at 7, this one has to end at 11, this one has to end at 15. So I'm going to put them over here as my broadcast, 3, 7, 11, 15, 19, so forth. Those are my broadcast numbers. All right, so this is the 3rd octet that we're dealing with. So to finish these columns out, I need to tag on, this is the 2nd octet we're working at here, 2nd octet. We need to tag on the 3rd and 4th octets. We need to tag on the 3rd and 4th here, and then the 3rd and 4th here. Well, over here for the network, remember for the network number, all zeros in the host portion. So we can literally tag on .0.0 for this column. .0.0, .0.0, .0.0. And we know that works because all zeros in the host portion for our network numbers. That makes making that column very easy. Over here on the broadcast, the rule is all ones in the host portion. Well, if I set these to all ones, we're going to have 255, 255. So over here for these, I can do 3.255.255, 7.255.255, and now I have my broadcast for this column. So setting the network and broadcast is pretty easy, pretty straightforward, as long as I remember my rules. All zeros in the host portion for the network, all zeros in the host portion, all ones in the host portion for the broadcast, all ones in the host portion for the broadcast. Now, remember to get the usables in the middle. I'm going to take this number here and I'm going to increase by 1. I'm going to drive my car down the road a mile and increase the farthest right number up by 1. So 0.0.1, 4.0.1, 8.0.1. Over here on this column, I'm going to drive my car backwards a mile. Again, don't do that for real, but I'm going to pretend to drive my car backwards a mile. So this number over here will be the one that decreases if I go backwards a mile. So 3,255,254 would be my last usable. So first usable 001, last usable 3,255,254. That last column, that last spot is going to decrease by 1 if I drive backwards a mile to get my last usable. Again, don't do that, but just theoretically pretend that's what would work. And now I can get my usables. If I take all of that and actually plug it into Subnet Calculator, here we go, 50.8.0.0 for network, 50.8.0.1 for first usable, 50.11.255.254 for last usable, 50.11.255.255 for the broadcast. And there would be my Class A. Again, everything we did in C and B still applies. I just have 2 more octets that I have to worry about it here. I'm working in the second octet, and I have to tag on the third and fourth octet. A little bit more record keeping. So there is subnetting a Class A.